Sorry about the split videos, there's been a problem with my computer, but just to get back to what's happening. So, at the end of the Second Schleswig Big War, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, my, it's not English, so it's not, I'm not great with Danish or German, so, what ended up happening was after the Second Schleswig War, we had a situation where Otto von Bismarck wanted to unite the German Confederation, or Germany, under Prussian rule. He knew he would never be able to do that with Austria in the way. So Bismarck was always trying to aggravate the Austrians into war. Now, the thing is, historically, Austria had always been at the heart of the Holy Roman Empire. And in all honesty, if there was any power that saved the Germans from France, it was Austria. Austria saved everyone, as well as the Russians and the British, against Napoleon. Prussia was a great power, but it wasn't seen as the leader of the German Confederation. It was just seen as another state. It was a very powerful state. However, Otto wanted Prussia to be the head of the German Confederation and wanted Austria out. As well, there were religious tensions as well. Many of the southern states were Catholic, while many of the northern German states were Lutherans, Protestants, who didn't trust the influence of the Pope. Oh, shit. Sorry, that's my foot. Just hit the board. Bit of metal. Alright, so what ended up happening was, I think I did explain the Frankfurt meeting. So after, I'm just going to have to believe that I've said the other stuff in the other video. But what ended up happening was, all the states pretty much declared war against each other. Prussians lined the border up near the Austrian border, and the Austrians mobilized as well. The Austrians came, I'll talk about the Prussians. So I'll just explain Prussia's leadership and Austria's leadership. So under the leadership of Wilhelm I of Prussia, and as king of the Kingdom of Prussia, and Prime Minister von Bismarck, they declared war against Austria. Austria declared war against Prussia, and the Emperor of Austria was Franz Joseph at the time. Now, another thing that was happening at the time, Italy had just unified. Now, Italy wanted part of a territory that was owned by the Austrians over here. So the Italians wanted that. Now, the Italians were firstly a unified country. They didn't have a very good military, and they tried to take what was the battle name? So alright, so pretty much the Italians at the Battle of Kotztozoza tried to cross the border into the Austrian-controlled Italy, but then was annihilated. This occurred on the 24th of June, 1886. 1866. The Austrians were so successful that they caused and routed the Italians to retreat back over their border. Additionally, in the Battle of Lissa, the Austrian fleet destroyed. The Austrian fleet destroyed the Italian fleet completely. So the Italians were virtually being destroyed. The reasons the Italians were involved in the war at all was just to get that land, and they made a deal with the Prussians. So then what ended up happening, the Austrians were doing very well against the Italians, but the thing was with the German Confederation was split in two. The pro-Prussian side of the Federation and the Austrian side of the Confederates. So what ended up happening was the larger nations of the Confederation joined Austria, while a lot of smaller states in the north joined the Prussians. I will read out the list of the sides. So on the Kingdom of Prussia side, the Duchy of Brunswick, Grand Duchy of Mecklenburg-Schwerin, San Coburg and Gotha, Duchy of Salzalterberg, Grand Duchy of Mecklenburg-Strelsa, Grand Duchy of Oldenburg, Duchy of Anhalt, Swilberg-Sondershausen, Principality of Waldeck and Piedmont, Principality of Lippe, Saxe-Luxembourg, Free City of Lübeck, Bremen, Hamburg, and the Kingdom of Italy. Kingdom of Italy wasn't part of the Confederation, but as I said, it was an ally of Prussia in this battle. On the Austrian side, they had the Kingdom of Bavaria, the Kingdom of Saxony, the Kingdom of Hanover, Kingdom of Württemberg, the Electorate of Hesse, Grand Duchy of Baden, Grand Duchy of Hesse, Duchy of Neuss, Duchy of Saxe-Meissen, Principality of Rus-Gratz, Principality of St. and the Free City of Frankfurt. Now, this war was a bit destructive in one way. I'll explain the result of the war later, very soon, but it caused some members to lose faith in the German Confederation. Such groups were the countries that were neutral. Now, I'm going to talk about them now because it shows how these wars can be a bit destructive and cause some German nations to lose faith in the system. Luxembourg. Just anything where I can draw Luxembourg, because this is a very old map. These states don't really exist anymore, so I'm just trying to pinpoint where it is today. Areas in the south, it's around Switzerland. France is here, up Switzerland. And the Netherlands is up here. Alright, so it has to be here. We'll draw a flag here. I won't draw all the flags of the neutral countries, but I feel Luxembourg is an important one because it is a very important country in Europe today. And it shows what this war did to make them decide to leave their German... Luxembourg for centuries has been part of the Holy Roman Empire. It was a strategic town bordering the former Spanish Netherlands, or Austrian Netherlands, or the Holy Roman Empire's Netherlands, it was a very important city, and eventually the Luxembourg said, "Bugger it, we're not going to be part of this anymore." So they declared themselves neutral, and they ended up becoming part of the Netherlands for a little while. The Duchy of Limburg, I think Limburg ended up rejoining the Confederation afterwards, but I could be wrong about that. I'll just check that. I believe they joined either Belgium or the Netherlands. The Grand Duchy of Saxe-Weimar, Schwarzburg, Rodor, Liechtenstein, and Principality of Gera. Now, I'm not sure about the other ones. Most of them did rejoin certain bits of Germany, but Liechtenstein certainly did stay independent. So if you're wondering why these tiny modern states in Europe are independent, that's why, because they lost a lot of faith in the great German Confederation, or the German Confederation, because they declared a civil war. Because the point of the German Confederation was to stop infighting amongst the German states and to protect itself from external threats. Now, when they were versing the Danish, or when they declared war against the Danish, there was a reason. They were protecting Germans from Danish. But by declaring wars of Germans against Germans, this caused a lot of debate and brought down the German Confederation, because the whole point was it was meant to stop the great German powers fighting each other. So, Luxembourg, and I believe Liechtenstein is in the south. I believe it's down near the Italian border, but I could be wrong. My European geography isn't always fantastic, but leave that with that. So these two become independent. They don't want to be part of the German Confederation. So the Austrians are whipping the Italians, and they do that for the entire war. Now this war isn't a long war. I believe it is only lasts 7 weeks, I think. Just check. 1 month and 8 days. Alright. So we'll get to a very important battle that was very decisive. The Battle of Crossword. The Battle of Königgrätz on the 3rd of July, 1866, between the Kingdom of Prussia and the Empire of Austria. Now, this battle was very decisive, and there were other battles, but this was quite a big one that decided the war. Now, there was one of the things that was very decisive in the Danish War was, I'll just draw it quickly so you can have a visual, see it visually. There, in the old days, they used to have a gun like this. Got the gun? Now, this is the old style gun, like rifle. Pretty much what you would have to do is you got a little metal stick like this. You get your little bullet, and you'd get a packet of gunpowder, and you have to shove that down the tube of the gun, and then you would shoot. Now, in the 7 Years' War, this was very useful, and the Prussians in the 7 Years' War were very successful doing this because they could load. They were one of the few armies that could load. I think they could fire 3 shots every minute or something like that. But it was it took time doing this, and you had to do it standing up. Now, the modern Prussian army had a new type of gun. It was this gun you would have seen in the First World War, modern versions of it in the First World War, in First World War movies. I think they're called pin-lock guns. The thing was, instead of loading it from the top with these new Prussian guns, you'd have a lock, and it had a little trapdoor. Alright, so instead of loading it from the top, what you do is you get this lock, you unlock it, and you pull it back, and there'll be a little hole here. So you'd load the bullet, put it in, then you'd pull the lock back and load the bullet. So now it's loaded in, and you can fire. I believe the reason it's called a pincer or gun style is because it has a little pincer in that lock. So when the gun you pull the trigger, the pincer comes forward and hits the little gunpowder area of the bullet. And once that gunpowder bit ignites, it shoots off the bullet. Now I only saw that in a little video once, but I'm not an expert on guns. You'd have to ask someone about it from a gun group or someone who owns a gun to tell you about that. Maybe a historian. But and the thing that was very important about these guns were you could load them while lying down. Normal old 19th century rifles, you had to load them while standing up with the tube or with the metal skewer, metal stick. So this was very important. The Austrians I believe, didn't have these guns. But the Prussians did, so this is why a lot of the Danish did so badly against the well-equipped and modernized Prussians. Additionally, another thing that made the Prussians better than most nations was that they had a lot more railroad and they could mobilize a lot faster than most nations. So we'll now get to the battle. I will just draw up a bit of the map.